Casual. Today, we're going to be going over our predictions for Week 13 of the 2025 NFL season. It's Thanksgiving week in the NFL, so happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Hope you're with your family enjoying Thanksgiving. This video is going to come out a day earlier than normal. Normally, I post it on Thursdays. That's because there's Thursday night, and I have time to post it on Thursday. But since the games are a little earlier this week being at Thanksgiving week, I will be posting this video on a Wednesday. Without further ado, before we get these predictions, looking at last week's record, we went 9-5. Vast improvement on week 11. Wasn't difficult. I think I got like 6 right week 11. So we get 9 right last week, bringing our total record up to 109-69. But now let's get into the predictions. So the first Thanksgiving game we have is the 7-3-1 Packers against the 7-4 Lions. Lions are minor favorites, trying to get their revenge after losing in Lambeau week 1 of the season, and also trying to get revenge on losing to the Packers in Thanksgiving, I believe 2 years ago. I think they actually had a big losing streak on Thanksgiving until they beat the Bears last year. I think the key to beating the Lions, especially for the Packers, is limiting the run game in Jahmyr Gibbs and getting after Jared Goff. Making Jared Goff have to throw the ball and being able to pressure him when he does throw the ball. And I think the Packers have that ability to do so because they have a very good D-line, obviously with Micah Parsons, who has had success against Detroit. And we've seen the last 2 weeks Detroit not be able to do the best against Philly's D-line and even the Giants D-line. The Giants got 3 sacks on the Lions as well. And the Packers have the ability to get pressure, and they have one of the better run defenses in the league. So they can limit this Lions rushing attack, force Jared Goff to pass, and when he does pass, they can get pressure. They can get pressure on Goff. And I think on the flip side, when it comes to the Packers offense, their main thing that they want to do is throw the ball. Because they have Josh Jacobs and even Emmanuel Wilson, who played great last week. But it seems like their run game hasn't been the greatest, and that their offense honestly has been the greatest. Very inconsistent on offense for the Packers. But the one weakness of the Lions defense, because the Lions defense is actually pretty good, is their secondary. And I think the Packers can have success against the Lions secondary. I think they can stop the run game, or at least limit it, because it's hard to stop Jahmyr Gibbs. And I think that they can get pressure on Goff. So I'm going to go with the Packers small upset over the Lions, 24-21. Next, we have the Chiefs at 6-5 going against the Cowboys at 5-1. Chiefs are favored. A must-win game for both of these teams. If they each want to make the playoffs, they have to win this game. Now, I've been actually very impressed with the Cowboys' defense these last 2 weeks. Ever since Quinn Williams got inserted into the lineup, it's made a world of difference on this Cowboys defense, especially in the run department. They've been so good in run defense since Quinn Williams. I think they're one of the better run defenses in the league, at least in terms of rushing yards per game. But not only do the Chiefs not really care about that, because they don't try to run the ball anyway, they don't really have a super elite run game to begin with, but the Cowboys' pass defense has still been somewhat of a weakness this year, and that is what the Chiefs want to do. Mahomes wants to air it out. So yes, I do think the Cowboys can do a better job against Mahomes in this offense than maybe we thought they would do 3 weeks ago. But I don't know if it's going to be enough because, yes, this Cowboys offense has been playing fantastic. Dak, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, all those guys have been great. This is a very good Chiefs defense that they're going up against. And I think they'll have some success because it is this Cowboys off. They put up 24 against the Eagles, right, who have also been a very good defense. But I just think with the fact that the Chiefs are going to be able to, not only are they likely going to be throwing the ball because the Cowboys could run defense, but they're going to be able to have success throwing the ball. I'm going to go with the Chiefs 23-20 over the Cowboys in a must-win game for both of these teams. Next, we have the Bengals at 3-8 against the Ravens at 6-5. Ravens are big favorites here by 7 points, despite the Joe Burrow return, and they get Jamar Chase back. But I guess they lose T. Higgins. I'm pretty sure they lose T. Higgins. Yeah, T. Higgins is out. They lose T. Higgins, but they get Jamar Chase back. Yes, Joe Burrow is coming back, and that will help this team significantly. We all know that. However, there's been times where this Bengals offense has looked very good still, even with Joe Flacco in at quarterback. And the defense has been horrible. Despite they actually played pretty decent against the Patriots, I'll give them that. They played pretty solid against the Patriots. But outside of that game, defense has been horrible. And you're going against a Lamar, Derrick Henry Ravens offense, who, granted, hasn't been amazing themselves, right? You put up 23 points against the Jets, 23 against the Browns, 27 against the Vikings, 28 against the Dolphins. Those are the 4 games with Lamar back. Now, some of those aren't bad, but they're against defenses like Miami, where they should probably be maybe better. So I don't think, yes, the Bengals have a tendency of giving up like 35 points or more. I don't think that will be the case. I think the Ravens will be limited to under 30. Bengals defense played pretty good against New England, and the Ravens offense hasn't been necessarily perfect. But what has been vastly improved, probably the most improved unit of any of these two teams, is the Ravens defense. We all know that the Ravens defense played significantly better down the stretch last year, and they're doing the same thing again this year. And it's not going to be easy to stop this Bengals offense, but the Bengals aren't going to be able to run the ball because they've had success running the ball recently. Chase Brown just had the best game a running back has ever had against the Patriots defense, I'm pretty sure. So the Bengals run game is getting going. But I think the Ravens can stop that. And it's going to be a Joe Burrow game that he throws the ball 50 plus times, like we saw last year, basically, when these two teams played. And I just think that the Ravens will have success against Cincy's defense. And I just don't know if the Bengals offense can have similar enough success due to the recent improvement from Baltimore's defense. And the fact that it's Joe Burrow's first game back. They don't have T. Higgins. I'm going Ravens in a closer game than the 7-point spread indicates, but I have them winning 28-24. Now we have the Black Friday game, the Bears-Eagles Alliance game. That whole thing's been going all across Twitter, the Bears-Eagles Alliance. Despite the Bears being 8-3, same with the Eagles are 7-point favorites, just because they're probably just like the more experienced, quote unquote, team of being good. They've just experienced being good more than and the Bears have had a lot of close, they're 8-3. They've won 8 of their last 9, I'm pretty sure. It hasn't been the prettiest, to say the least. They beat the Raiders by 1. They beat the Commanders by 1. They beat the Bengals by 5, the Giants by 4, the Vikings by 2, the Aaron Rodgers-less Steelers by 3. It hasn't been the greatest 8-3 start for the Bears. However, you got to give credit where credit is due. They're winning games, and you haven't been able to say that about the Bears in years past. So that's a very good improvement. This offense is playing fantastic under Ben Johnson. I feel like they're finally figuring out the offense, and really, Caleb and Ben Johnson are really understanding each other well. And the defense has not been good, but what they have been good at is taking the ball away. They had 3 of the top 4 interception leaders in the season or something like that. Like Kevin Byard, Nashawn Wright are tied. I think they have another guy up there as well. And they don't even have Jalen Johnson. But their defense has not been very good. Granted, a lot of injuries. But if we're just talking about this game, you got to factor those injuries in. Yes, in the grand scheme of things, it's understandable why their defense has been struggling. But when you're looking at this game against the Eagles, they have a lot of injuries on their defense. And the Eagles' offense has not been good this season. But if there's a defense to get right against, it is Chicago's. Mainly, I think, on the ground game. Their ground game has been very bad, at least in terms of like Saquon. I still think like total yards with Hurts running the ball, Tank Bigsby and Saquon, collectively the run game hasn't been horrible. But Saquon definitely has not had the Saquon type performance you want him to have. And guess what? The most points they scored all season long was 38 points against the Giants. And that is when Saquon, I'm pretty sure, is when Saquon had his best game. And this Bears run defense has been one of the worst in the league. So I do think Saquon has a ton of success here against Chicago's run defense. And on the flip side, yeah, the Cowboys made a run against Philly, scoring 24 points unanswered. The Eagles' defense is very good. They should be able to stop the Bears' rushing attack, which is their strength. I mean, I guess we saw the Steelers stop the Bears' rushing attack somewhat, and it didn't end up working, but the Eagles should be able to, I think, limit this Bears offense enough. And I am going to go with the Eagles 27-23. I think I just trust the Eagles offense against the Bears defense, and I do think on defense Philly can slow down this Bears offense enough. Next, we have the Rams against the Panthers. Rams are 9-2, Panthers are 6-6. Rams are 10.5-point favorites. I mean, they are the best team in the league. Panthers coming off a very ugly loss against the Niners. They got a ton of injuries in that game, especially on defense. J.C. Horn, I think, is going to be out. Merrick got suspended for the little altercation, we'll call it, in the end of the game. I think before the Niners game, I think the Panthers could have maybe pulled off the upset or maybe barely lost to the Rams. I don't think it goes to 10 points. I think the Panthers can keep it a little bit closer, maybe, just because they seem to be a very up and down team. Like 1 minute they'll do really bad, like they did against the Niners. The next minute they'll shock everyone. So maybe that's what we see this week. Who knows? But I am going to go with the Rams. I'm not going to go 10 points, even though it does feel like the Panthers either barely win or get blown out. But I will go. I don't really predict too many large blowouts in these, just because I don't know. It feels weird predicting a team to win by 20. So I'm going to go with the Rams still, 30-24 over the Panthers. I think the Panthers can get something off offensively. I'm hoping, just so this game is somewhat close. But you got a 6-6 Panthers team against the best team in football without their number one corner. It's probably not going to go great. So I will go with the Rams. Next, we have the Niners at 8-4 against the 3-8 Browns. Shedeur Sanders' second start, first real start, because last start was because Gabriel was hurt, but now he earned his way to start even though Gabriel is healthy. So this is Shedeur's second start, first time starting with Gabriel healthy, I guess. And the Browns are only 5-point underdogs, which honestly surprised me, considering how well the Niners played, at least on defense on Monday night. Their offense and Brock Purdy did really nothing. And Brock Purdy threw 3 first-half interceptions. They just got lucky that the Panthers also didn't do anything on offense, so they were able to win that game. I think it's going to be a very ugly, low-scoring game. Browns have one of the best defenses in the league at times. At least it feels like when they're in a close game, that's when their defense really, really plays well. Myles Garrett should be able to have some success in this game, as he always does. But I just think I really like what I saw from Shedeur, and I think he can have some success against this banged-up Niners defense. But I just don't know how much success he's going to be able to have. And yes, the Browns defense is good, but it's a very, very good Niners offense. I think it's going to be an ugly game. But I think the Niners pull away just barely, 20-17 over the Browns. Next, we have an AFC South game between the 6-5 Texans and the 8-3 Colts. Colts are 4.5-point favorites. I don't think Stroud's playing. I think he's still in concussion protocol. It's probably better for him to not play. especially with Texans have won 3 straight without him. Might as well sit him another game, especially because he had a concussion already in his career that caused him to miss time too. But I don't know if it's going to matter. I think the Texans. I don't think who's at quarterback determines who wins this game because of how good this Houston Texans defense is. We just saw them completely shut down Josh Allen and the Bills on Thursday night. I don't think they'll have as much success because the Colts O line is significantly better than the Bills O line, which is at least in terms of like sacks allowed, pass protection, which I think is the big reason why we saw Josh Allen and that offense struggle. Because even a guy like James Cook had a decent game, but they just couldn't. What was it, 8 sacks? I think it was 9 sacks. But granted, yes, the Colts' offensive line's better. They're not elite. They're not the best linemen in the league, at least in terms of the tackles. So I think this Houston defense will once again have success. They don't really allow teams to score like more than 20, 24 points really ever this season, it feels like. And I think they can do that again. I think they can make Daniel Jones uncomfortable. They can limit Jonathan Taylor. Because it seems like if you can somewhat contain Jonathan Taylor, we saw the Steelers do it. We saw the Chiefs do it. You can force Daniel Jones to pass, and if you can get some pressure, you can make him uncomfortable, and that's when you can really beat the Colts. I feel like the Texans have that recipe. And while Davis Mills is not as good as CJ Stroud, he's had some success these last 3 weeks, and the Colts' pass defense is not that good. Now, I know they're getting healthier with Javarius Ward, Sauce Gardner, and other guys. They're still not the perfect pass defense. And I think Davis Mills can have enough success because the Colts' strength on defense is their run defense. But similar to the Chiefs don't want to run the ball. The Texans don't want to run the ball. They want to pass. They can have success against this pass defense. Now I'm going to go with the Texans upsetting the Colts 24-20. This isn't really a super important game. The 2-9 Saints against the 4-7 Dolphins. Dolphins are 6-point favorites, coming off the bye at home. Tua feels like Tua at home is a very, very good quarterback compared to what he is on the road, at least in the classic cold weather games. Saints defense, I thought was playing decent, and then they let Kirk Cousins and the Falcons play pretty well. And after I saw that, I don't know if I trust them to now stop Miami's offense, especially coming off the bye week. And Miami's defense actually has been pretty good in the pass department. So I don't know how much success we'll see out of Tyler Shuck. And no Alvin Kamara in this game. I'm going to go with the Dolphins 24-16 over the Saints. I just think they're just a better team coming off a bye at home. I'm going to go with the Saints, or the Dolphins, excuse me. Next, we have the Falcons against the Jets. Falcons are 4-7, Jets are 2-9. Falcons are favored. Again, as I mentioned earlier, Kirk Cousins and this Falcons offense had a lot more success against the Saints than I thought they would. And now they get a Jets team who on defense, I don't really know. Sometimes the Jets defense is actually pretty good. Sometimes they're not. I really don't understand. I really don't know fully what Jets defense I'm going to get. I also don't know what Falcons team we're going to get. They are also one of the more confusing teams in the league. If Kirk Cousins didn't show me what he showed me last week, I would actually think about picking the Jets here. But while Kirk Cousins played better than I thought, Tyrod Taylor played worse than I thought against Baltimore. And I think I just don't trust the Jets at all in anything. And the Falcons have showed flashes of being a pretty decent team. Their defense is still very good. I don't know how much success Tyrod Taylor will have against it. So I am going to go with the Falcons 23-17 over the Jets. Next, we have the Cardinals against the Buccaneers. Cardinals are 3-8. Bucks are 6-5. Bucks 3-point favorites. We don't know Baker Mayfield's injury status. Um, because I feel like if Baker's playing, I think the Bucks win, and if Baker's not playing, and it's Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback, I think the Cardinals win. So it's very interesting to make this prediction, considering that Cardinals played the Jags pretty well last week. Um, Jacoby Brissett, I think, will have good success against this Tampa Bay defense, which has gone back to back week. I know they played Josh Allen and Matt Stafford in back to back weeks, but they allowed both those quarterbacks to have pretty good success against them. So I do think this Cardinals team will be able to put up points. And it's just about, can the Bucks offense do enough against Arizona? Similar to how the Bucks defense is pretty good in the run, not so good in the pass, the Cardinals defense is decent in the run, below average against the pass. I think again, I mentioned before, if Baker plays, I think the Bucks win because I think he can get them enough points to win the game. And I just feel like Baker Mayfield, after they've lost how many games in a row? After they've lost three in a row, a must-win game. I think Baker's going to fight through the injury and play, whether he should or not, whether he should or shouldn't play. I think he's going to want to play. So this prediction is off if Baker is playing. I'm going to go with the Bucks 28-27 over the Cardinals. This is an interesting game between the 1-10 Titans and the 7-4 Jags. Jags are 6.5-point favorites, coming off of their ugly win against the Cardinals. And the Titans, yes, it may have been a lot of garbage time we saw, but Cam Ward probably played the best game of his NFL career against a elite Seahawks defense. And he's also had some good games against other top defenses. He played pretty good against the Broncos. He played pretty good against some other very good defenses. The Texans last week, not the week before, or not the first time they played. He's played some pretty solid games against some very good defenses. At home as well. They're at home against the Jags. The Jags defense, at least in terms of pass defense, because the run defense is elite. The Jags have the fewest rushing yards per game allowed of any team. Titans don't have a run game. If the Titans have success, it has been through the passing game. And the Jags have had one of the worst pass defenses in the league. I mean, they let Jacoby Brissett have a good game. Justin Herbert had a great, or actually Justin Herbert had a terrible game. But before that, Davis Mills had a good game. Geno Smith had a good game. Matt Stafford obviously had a good game. It's Matthew Stafford. But this Jags defense is very susceptible in the pass game. I think Cam Ward can have a very good game against Jacksonville. And you never know what just like how the Falcons are very confusing, the Jags are also a very confusing team. And you never know what version of Trevor Lawrence you're going to get. Call me crazy, but with what I saw from the Jags in their ugly win against the Cardinals and what I saw from Cam Ward and the Titans in a very promising loss to the Seahawks, I'm going Titans upsetting the Jags as my upset of the week, 24-21. Now I don't think an upset happens in this game. 8-3 Seahawks against the 4-7 Vikings. Seahawks are 11.5-point favorites. We don't even know if JJ McCarthy is going to play, whether or not that matters or not. Your opinion of JJ McCarthy? I think I'd rather have JJ McCarthy than Max Brosmer at quarterback. But I think regardless if you have JJ McCarthy, regardless of if you have Max Brosmer, or even if Carson Wentz is out there, I don't know how much of a chance Minnesota has in this game. Seahawks have been one of the best teams in the league. Their defense has been elite. I don't know how much we're going to get out of this Minnesota offense. I don't think it's going to be a blowout just because of Minnesota's defense, because their pass defense has been very good. And the Seahawks, while they've gotten a ton of wins, they haven't all been the prettiest. Like, they've had some lowish scoring offensive outings. They only put up 20 against the Jags. They only put up 23 against the Cardinals earlier in the season. The Rams held them to 19 points. Granted, it's the Rams, but they've had some lower scoring games. They put up 44 against the Cardinals, but two of those were defensive touchdowns. I do think the Vikings defense, I say all that to say, I think the Vikings defense can do a somewhat decent job on the Seattle offense, but I just don't know if it's going to matter because I don't trust the Vikings on offense scoring a ton of points. So I will go Seahawks 28-20 over the Vikings. Another game that's not really much to talk about here, the 2-9 Raiders against the 7-4 Chargers, coming off a bye, 10-point favorites. The thing, if you want to beat the Chargers, you got to get after Herbert. I don't think the Raiders are going to do that. The Chargers beat the Raiders 20-9 earlier in the season. They're potentially the worst team in the league. This is pretty easy for me. This is my lock of the week. Chargers 31-20 over the Raiders. This is a very interesting game here between the 7-4 Bills and the 6-5 Steelers. Bills are 4-point favorites coming off of their horrible loss against Houston, and Pittsburgh without Aaron Rodgers coming off of their close loss to Chicago. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is playing. I think he had a chance to play against the Bears, so maybe that means he has a chance here to play against the Bills. There is great optimism from Mike Tomlin that Aaron Rodgers is going to play. So that's obviously fantastic for Pittsburgh. They should have success in the ground game with their two backs, Gainwell and Warren, because the Bills' run defense is not good. So I do think Pittsburgh will have much success against Buffalo's run defense, but I don't trust them against Buffalo's pass defense, which has not been great. And Pittsburgh's passing offense also hasn't been great, very inconsistent. And we don't even know if Aaron Rodgers is going to play. I do think Josh Allen, yes, Steelers defense played pretty good the last few weeks. They started to play like they played most of the season against Chicago. And I think Josh Allen is coming out for revenge, trying to avenge his horrible loss to Houston. So I do think the Bills win this 27-24. Next, we have the Broncos against the Commanders. I don't think Jaden Daniels. I don't know if Jaden Daniels is going to play. Honestly, I don't think he should play for his sake. I don't think it matters regardless. Broncos are 9-2, Commanders 3-8. Broncos 6-point favorites. They're going to get after whoever's quarterbacking Washington. And yes, the Broncos offense has been consistent, but the Commanders defense hasn't shown much of any ability to stop anyone. So I'm going Denver pretty easily, 24-17 over the Commanders. Last game we have is the Giants and the Patriots. Patriots are 10-2, Giants are 2-10. Patriots 7.5-point favorites. I mean, Patriots they haven't played the toughest of opponents, but they've beaten everybody they've played practically. And Giants are another not so good team that they're playing. Jameis Winston at quarterback. I think he can score a little bit against New England, especially, have some success passing the ball against New England. But New England doesn't really give up a ton of points. I think it's going to be very similar to the game they've just played against Cincinnati. I think the Giants will have some success because it's Jameis Winston. You can never count out Jameis Winston. I mean, I guess you can't even count out Jackson Dart either, whoever's quarterbacking. But I just don't trust New York's defense to limit New England to like 17 points. So I'm going Patriots 27-20 over the Giants. And that will conclude our predictions for Week 13, Thanksgiving week in the NFL. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.